Hi everyone, this is Susan Colby, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about aligned assessments, and I'm going to focus on an undergraduate course. This, of course, my aligned assessment is based on the backwards design model. You can see that model. There's a goal, there's a summative assessment that hopefully is pretty authentic and realistic, and I've divided that into 4 different formative assessments so that I'm able to scaffold my students as they learn over time and will be successful on that final summative assessment. I'm talking about an undergraduate classroom assessment course. I'm working with pre-service teachers who will become teachers in the public schools. My learning goal is that they'll be able to design quality assessments for evaluating student learning in the P-12 school. And my summative assessment is the curriculum-based assessment project. So let's talk a little bit about that. Here you can see the goal, the summative assessment, and how I've broken it down into 4 formative assessments. The very first formative assessment is they're going to spend some real time unpacking curriculum standards. The public schools has the North Carolina Standard Course of Study. Any pre-service teacher is going to have to become familiar with the standards for their particular grade level and content area. So they spend time learning about those standards. The second formative assessment along the way would be then they take that standard course of study and they turn it into student learning outcomes for their courses. After they've done that, then they design a summative assessment, and sometimes that's a test if you're high school and your history and there's a lot of content, but a lot of times it's a project that they've designed for their summative assessment. And then they have to also design a series of formative assessments. So basically, I'm asking them to do an aligned assessment because they will be teachers again. So their first formative assessment again was unpacking the curricular standards. This is what a final product would look like. They take the content, they have to take all the standards and to really analyze whether it's knowledge or reasoning or a skill or a product that are being asked, because once they understand the standards for their grade level, they're much easier to put into learning outcomes. So I would have them turn this in and I would give them feedback on this particular formative assessment. The second formative assessment they would be involved in, they'll have to create student learning outcomes based on that content. So you can see here is a chart that they would turn in to me with those particular student learning outcomes on them and what type of outcomes they are and how they plan to assess those outcomes. So this would be the second formative assessment they do in this curriculum-based project. The third formative assessment is they think about a summative assessment that makes sense for the curriculum and the content and for their goals. And then they design the assessment. Here you see a clip of a history secondary students exam for their students. I also get a lot of projects. They do activities and things like that. That would be the third formative assessment in this particular curriculum-based project. And the fourth formative assessment is now they have to unpack that summative assessment, make sure they have formative assessments that are aligned with that summative assessment. Very similar to what we're doing in this course with aligned assessment. So they're going to think about the goals and the standards, and then what formative assessments will help their students be successful on the summative. And then they'll turn that all in, and that will be their curriculum-based project. I grade that with a rubric. That helps me be very efficient, and you can see the different criteria on the side are the formative assessments, and they get feedback throughout the entire process. Thank you.